If you Georgia Bulldogs, you're gonna feel the bulldog.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Row 60, a Georgia football podcast. My name is Clark Gaines. Joining me today, as always, Adam Thornton.
Boom!
And this is show number 105. Welcome back, folks. Spring ball is officially done. It is over.
Hey, spring ball is over. Spring has sprung. It's springtime now. Looming into summer, Clark.
Yeah.
Temps are getting on up there, man, in the 80s, and you're starting to feel like it's summer. So, I've said it before, and one thing I think about when spring ball's over, I look at, like, the calendar year, Clark. Most people think of the calendar year, break it down in the seasons, winter, fall, spring, summer,
right,
or, different months. I break it down into 4 quarters of Georgia football season.
Yeah.
Your off season, like right after the bowl game, seeing who's going to leave, go to the draft, who's transferring. The players are doing their off season workout, mat drills. You're kind of just decompressing from football a little bit, just catching up on news, what coaches are leaving, what coaches are going, all that stuff. Then spring ball is the second quarter, right?
Yeah.
And then the third quarter is just kind of your summer, you're kind of a lull period, but then your fourth quarter is going to be fall camp starting up, early August, and then it's go time.
Yep.
Then it's time for Georgia football again, man. So we've reached kind of the halfway point of the off season, I like to say.
Right.
We're at halftime of the off season right now.
So you're saying we need a Kirby Smart kind of halftime speech
yes, we do.
Get us through this third quarter.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think it's been a solid spring. It's going to be a very just unusual kind of lead up, I feel like, kind of the hype going into next season as far as how it was the past couple of years, kind of maybe some tempered expectations going this year with a very young football team, Clark, but exciting nonetheless, man, and I'm fired up. Especially, you got the month of April just zoomed by. I don't know if it did for you, but it just zoomed by, Clark. You blinked and it was gone. It was gone.
Yeah.
Gone. And, and then I feel like once you get to July, that's when I really get antsy.
Yeah.
Like about when we come to our country's birth, and we celebrate America.
Right.
And then
That's when
after we celebrate America and we get fired up about that, I'm like, it's time to play football.
Yeah. There's no better way to celebrate the United States of America than teeing it up and playing football and knocking somebody out.
But so when July 4th hits, that's when I ramp it up about 5 more notches.
Okay. How many notches do you think you've ramped it up in the past? Ever since we started Row 60.
I'll just keep ramping.
Just keep ramping
it up. That's how you got to live, man. That's how you got to live. You got to, man. I don't know. We had a good sermon the other day.
We did.
In church.
Yeah.
Were you there? I didn't see you there.
I think you were in the tradition. Were you in the traditional service?
No. I was in the contemporary service.
Oh, no, wait. I didn't. No, I was in Sunday school. Sorry. No. I was not.
I was not in Sunday school.
Yeah.
So we had to go for the old fire department 40th anniversary special, I believe. Okay, yeah, but it was a good message.
I listened to it. That's why I said.
Yeah, about anxiety and, not worrying about things, and I don't know, just it was good.
Yeah.
Needed that, man, and, it was good.
For sure. Yeah, I love a good Sunday sermon.
Yeah, just get a good life perspective, man. So.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk a lot about the month of April, Adam. You're right. It did fly by. We had G-Day. We had the Masters. We had transfer portal news. We had the NFL draft. So a lot to talk about on the show.
Yeah.
We're going to kind of recap everything and put a bow on the month of April. And, just fly through some of this stuff. So let's start with G-Day because that was sort of the first thing that took place chronologically here. And, most people weren't able to attend G-Day just because it wasn't, I don't know, it just seemed really odd this year in that, like, the athletic administration, they didn't exactly let people know. It was all up in the air to begin with. Kirby, was he going to have G-Day? Was he going to do a scrimmage? Was there going to be no G-Day, no scrimmage? So really didn't know where that was going. So, yeah, and I think it threw a lot of people off. So, but I would say there was about 35,000 people there, which is still a respectable amount for a spring game.
Yeah. It was a good time, but I think you're exactly right, Clark. The build-up for it wasn't like it was in the past. Like, come on out, spring game, G-Day, everything like that. It was just kind of like you said, the plans, it was last minute and wasn't televised, so it just didn't seem like a big deal this year. Kirby really wasn't pushing it, and a complete 180 from 2016, his first spring game in Athens, man. But I don't know the reason reason behind that, but it just looks like that's the culture of college football now, is for these spring games to not be what they once were, and I think that's something that you're going to see them just die out eventually, unless they start to play other opponents in a scrimmage game in the spring, kind of a not like a regular football game would be, maybe a more controlled type thing where just no kickoffs, no kick return practice, right? But I mean, it's something different than to have some fan engagement. But it looks like, man, they want more and more out of the fans, but the fans are getting less and less in return with this new era of NIL. And I mean, like it or not, that's just how it is these days. And I think there was a lot to do with it with the crowd. It just didn't seem as important. It was Masters weekend and some spring break for some schools in the state of Georgia, I know. So I mean, people were away, but all in all, it was a beautiful day. To be in Sanford Stadium. Always a beautiful day to be in Sanford Stadium. I cherish it because it is the time where, out of the months of from January to early September, the only time I can go to Sanford Stadium and watch football, man. So I'm going to take advantage of it. And to me, Clark, and I want you to touch on this, G-Day isn't for me like, oh, man, I can't wait to go see who's doing this, who's going to be there. Because you really can't tell that. I mean, yeah, it's fun to see,
It used to be that way a little bit.
It used to be that way a little bit more. But, I mean, you like to see, well, this guy, he's put on some pounds. Look at their physique a little bit. You know, what's the off season, what's February and January in the weight room doing since we last saw him, and Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. But more so, it's about just being in the atmosphere, seeing people like the Heralds that we got to see. We got to meet Blake Newman. That was great. So, I mean, it was exciting. And then, of course, taking our children to it and family, and the social part of G-Day, even though I don't preach anything about being the social part during the game and the regular season, but for G-Day, it's a completely different story. So, Clark, you got to take your son, Benson, first time ever to Sanford Stadium. That was special.
It was, yeah. He, thankfully, we just strapped him up, had the bottle, we had to go get like a Dasani water. Hey, shout out to the UGA concessions team. Adam, we both got a free water.
Found a hack in that system. Yeah. Go to the beer cart and ask for a water.
Yeah, no, actually, that, it worked for us. So
it did.
I highly doubt it'll work, come September. But
shout out that lady.
Yeah, shout out to whoever that lady is. But yeah, Adam, taking Benson, that was a really cool experience. And, you took Callie, and it's really fun to kind of live vicariously through them, although Benson had no idea what was going on. Callie's getting to the age where she kind of understands.
It was her third G-Day.
Yeah, third
G-Day.
And so she kind of knows the routine and the situation. And I think this year is the year you got to take her to a game.
Yeah, it's getting close, man. I don't know. It might be one more year after this. I mean, because I won't be able to concentrate.
That's
be
true.
A parent, be a responsible parent. So maybe she needs to kind of to grow up a little bit more. But no, I mean, but she is to the point now. Every time she sees the Power G, red and black, she's got 2 stuffed hairy dogs that she sleeps with every night. She says, "Go Dogs."
Perfect,
go Dogs.
Adam.
Go. Everything's right when I can just point. And that's one of my favorite things to do when I'm around people. And I say, "Callie, what's that?" And I point to a G because where I'm at, either I'm wearing it or the surroundings. It's not hard to find a G in my life. And I just point at it. She goes, "Go Dogs."
That's awesome. I got to you got to teach me how to do that with Benson.
Oh, you will be able to. Yeah. I mean, it's just natural, man.
Speaking of, now that you say that, Sunday I wore a Georgia polo to church.
Did you?
And yeah, I had Benson on my. I kind of stand him up on my lap, and he looks at me, and I swear he was staring straight at that G for several times. Several times he was just looking right at it, and I was like, yes.
That's what we
Positive reinforcement. I'm going to start giving him he can't eat cookies, but at some point or another, he'll get a cookie every time he acknowledges the G and barks or something. So, but yeah, that was really fun. We had to take some headphones for him and everything. So good stuff. And yeah, like you said, we met Blake Newman finally. That was so cool. Shout out to Blake Newman. Top 3.
Oh,
biggest
man.
Row 60
Love
fans?
the man to death. Beautiful family. Love Blake Newman and what he's meant to us over the past few years, like so many other people have, man. And yeah, it's a special group. It's a family here, so we want to meet everybody that we've got to talk to, either in a call-in show or on the internet or wherever, or get to meet on the road. And we've got to meet a lot of people, and that's been the biggest blessing of starting Row 60. We've said that time and time again, and we will continue to, Clark. But Blake Newman's one we hadn't got to see yet, and that meant a lot.
Yeah.
And, looking forward to maybe some news that he'll be sharing soon with the Row 60 family that will see him a whole lot more.
Yeah.
So up
we'll
in
leave
Athens,
it at that.
man. So we'll leave it at that. Let him share that. So, Blake, great seeing you, brother, getting to meet you, man, and looking forward to many more opportunities to fellowship with you.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the game itself a little bit. Adam didn't watch too much of it. I don't think you did really either. I mean, we saw what we needed to see, right?
We were tending to the kids a lot.
That's true. Yeah, keeping them alive and
along with our wives, who are doing the majority of it.
Right.
We were pitching in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, Adam, it looks like we've added, though, some firepower to the perimeter, to our receiver room, and I really like to see that. C.J. Wiley and Ellis Williams tied in, and freshmen. Big dudes. Really, really big dudes. I like C.J. Wiley out on the X, and then you got Ellis Williams. He's like, what, 6'7", 6'8"?
Yeah, man.
Pushing that tight end. Freshman, man. That's awesome.
Just continuing to reload in the tight end room. I mean, you can't just talk about enough how valuable Todd Hartley's been to that room, man. And when you have a guy like Brock Bowers being the poster child of it, then I mean, you add that. But I mean, Todd Hartley just continues to bring in stud after stud in that tight end room, man, and guys who could go out and make plays downfield, catch the football, but also put his hand in the dirt and block on the line of scrimmage as well. And big guys, like you said, I'm talking about Elias Williams and Ethan Barber. Ethan Barber's a big guy who looked really good out there, and you got Jaden Riddell, and you got returning Lawson Lucky and Oscar Delp, who it's their team, and time to take the next step there too as well for both of those guys, kind of being the leaders in that room, Clark. And I was very impressed with how our tight end room looked.
Yeah, I mean, we got some size too. It's also good to have Colby Young back.
Yeah,
in uniform, and thankfully that situation I think has been resolved or is currently getting resolved.
Yeah.
But having him back, I think will it's a big deal. We need that big body receiver. We've talked about it time and time again. That's what we missed last year, and this year you get it. And you get it in several different guys, I think.
Right. I mean, it definitely looks good. I mean, like you said, C.J. Wiley looked real good as a true freshman coming in. Just was missed his high school prom, more than likely. I guess he didn't go back to it. I don't know. I'm assuming if he's been in Georgia, he did something. I mean, a guy like he's supposed to just graduate high school here in a couple of weeks, but he's already enrolled at the University of Georgia, and looks like he's been in the program for a year now. I mean, that's what he looked like out there, and I think he is going to be very good here at Georgia. And you talked about Colby Young coming back. Man, we never thought he would be in a Georgia jersey again. And how that situation played out. He is back in Athens, man, so that's exciting. And Noah Thomas was injured, Clark, but another guy from Texas A&M. And you talk about perimeter receivers, Clark. In the past few years, think about the Kirby era, how valuable a big-bodied guy on the outside has been. I think about, too, like 2018, Jeremiah Holloman.
Yeah.
How well he was that kind of that guy, and
Cager. I mean, Cager wasn't huge,
Cager.
But
I was say that
he had a big presence.
Oh, he did, man, and he was the guy outside that Fromm looked for in that 19 season. And, you talk about A.D. Mitchell. I mean, think about the catches he had. A guy like him, and of course George Pickens. I mean,
he was hurt. And the past few years, it's been Ladd, it's been Brock Bowers. Those are really the only
generational.
Generational talent. Honestly, and both of those guys,
right? Absolutely.
And so that's sort of masked, our, I don't want to say deficiencies at receiver, but honestly, that might just be the word to use. We haven't had that elite guy at the X or the Z or anywhere.
Yeah, I think it did. I mean, having those two guys helped a lot, and we've talked about it, and it's coming more and more to light when you think about what happened last year, that when you had guys like Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers, and you had misfortunes of losing guys to injury like George Pickens and A.D. Mitchell in 21 and 22 that were going to be your outside threats, but you were able to still exploit defense in the passing games because you had those two unicorns out there at the slot receiver position, and just a great athlete and route runner like Ladd McConkey, and then Brock Bowers just being unworldly as well. That was able to mask it. And last year, you don't have those guys, and you lose guys that we've talked about time and time again, but you've lost guys, Ra Thomas and Colby Young, who are going to be those guys, and I think it hurt. And you saw that more and more last year as well.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's clear. I mean, Kirby threw the bag at getting some firepower, right?
Sir.
Getting some receivers. He didn't go out and focus on linebackers, not that he needs to. He didn't go get secondary guys. Did we? We might have gotten one. I don't know.
UAB transfer.
Yeah. My point is, though, we obviously threw a lot of money at the Zachariah Branch, at the Noah Thomas guys, and that's important to us. And that's clearly an area in which we can add a lot of value now. And that's why Kirby went out and got those guys. So good to see that.
Branch looked electric.
Yeah, he did.
As far as the one thing that caught my eye about Branch, and I mean, was obviously they're not doing live reps punt returns, but when he just caught the ball, you could just see that burst. He was kind of simulating there. It just looked different than what we've seen returning punts in a long time. I feel like at the University of Georgia, and maybe I'm overhyping it, but I feel like he is going to be very special and a big weapon in special teams in that regard.
Adam,
Excited. Yes, sir.
top 3 best punt returners in Georgia football history. Go.
Man, to me, Damian Gary, Scott Warner.
Okay.
Thought Scott Warner.
For his era, or you're just saying like, hey, he could step on the field now?
Just memorable punt returns in Georgia
fair.
football
All right,
history is what I'm going for here.
I like it.
And I would say also who would be another one that I would throw out there that would be I'm trying to think about the best and here. Scott Warner had huge punt returns in his day. Damian Gary had some big ones, especially in 01 in Knoxville. That was big. And man, who else would it be?
About
Kind of drawing a blank. I don't know. I like what Thomas Flowers did. I wouldn't put him up there, but he was very memorable to me. That big punt return he had in Tennessee in 05 was big. I thought Isaiah McKenzie was good. Now I'm just thinking about my era that I remember.
Boykin.
Brandon Boykin. I mean, Jake Scott obviously would be one. I heard I wasn't alive when Jake the Snake played, but I heard Jake Scott was a heck of a freaking athlete no matter what he did. So yeah, but I mean Brandon Boykin, he did, he had some kick return game as well.
Logan Gray,
Rhett McGowan. I mean, yes, I mean special teams.
Oh man,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, Logan Gray.
If you know who Logan Gray is, you're a real Georgia Bulldog. Or Rhett McGowan for that matter.
Yeah.
Oh,
they did muff a punt though. By gosh,
I don't think they did.
Did their job.
All right. Who's the worst punt returner in recent memory?
That just scared you to death?
Yes.
Oh, man. Who was it?
I think mine was Tyler Simmons.
Tyler Simmons was? Yeah.
Right? In like 18, 19, he had several muffs. I think he muffed one against Florida, and it just dribbled down to the 2-yard line. Florida got it, recovered something.
I don't remember a lot of recent punts because a few years back, I decided I'm not going to watch
Yeah, that's true. I shouldn't even ask you that. Adam's just head down, just literally cannot watch.
I can't watch a punt. Because usually the adrenaline's pumping, especially in a big game. I mean, if Georgia's playing like UAB, then I could watch the punt. We're up by 3-4 touchdowns that time. Yeah, but if it's a Georgia-Texas SEC championship one-possession game, we just have a big defensive stand, get Quinn Ewers and Texas off the field, man, and we're about to return the punt. Like, the thought goes in my mind, what if we muff this punt and give the ball right back over to him? I can't think of anything more demoralizing, so I actually just sit there and I just can't watch it. It just tears me up. Can't do it, man.
I've never done it in a game because I was never trusted to do this, but I could imagine returning a punt is one of the more difficult things to do in sports.
I did in JV one time.
Did you really? By accident or like?
Well,
every man was down and they just
safety freshman year. Yep, and they just told me. Now this is junior varsity football game. So, I mean, it's at the lowest of low levels, and they told me to go return the punt.
Wow,
I never returned a punt in practice. Oh, I muffed it.
Really?
I fell on it.
Did you get it? I was about to say, did you get it?
No, I didn't. Yeah, but I didn't get the chance to return it upfield.
Yeah.
I muffed it.
It's scary, honestly, knowing that you got guys flying downhill too, and obviously you can fair catch it, but still, it'll spook you a little bit, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, all right, let's get back to G-Day right quick. Hey, Bo Walker, another name. You got to be a good football player with that kind of name. Bo Walker. You're mixing Bo Jackson and Herschel Walker there. 5'9", 210, short and stout, but plays big, man. He ran really hard the other day at G-Day. Kirby had high praise for him. I think he has had high praise for him this whole time, but he said he's bright, coachable, and has natural rush instinct. So that's good. And, we need some help here at the running back room, and I think he's a good addition.
Yeah, you got to be a stud running back to be named Bo Walker. Right. I mean, it's just like the good Lord intended you to play running back in the Southeastern Conference if your name Bo Walker. I mean, period. Clark, kind of the Ashton Genty type body type. I'm not comparing him saying he's going to be the next Ashton Genty, but body type, man, kind of that physical stature, short but stout. strong. And that's one thing about him, man. I think he's going to have a lot of memorable moments here at the University of Georgia, Clark. I think he is going to be a guy that as he progresses and gets more comfortable with the playbook, the program, I think we're going to hear a lot more of him. He looked good, the carries that he got. Another guy who just got on campus and really showed out in the spring game.
Yeah, excited to see him.
Yeah. I heard a lot about him throughout the whole camp.
Yeah. Another guy we heard a lot about spring camp, Elijah Griffin, Adam, and he's the real deal. He is the truth.
Yeah.
We saw him bully the offensive line in G-Day, and, man, just dominant.
Can you imagine if Justice Terry was with him too?
Oh, my gosh.
Back in the old day, he would have been.
Yeah, I know.
If it wasn't for NIL.
Could you imagine if Bear Alexander was with him too?
No,
I'm
forget him.
just kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. Sorry. No.
I might cut that one out. Yeah, no, we don't care for Bear Alexander. But yeah, Elijah Griffin, I think, look, everybody's drawing comparisons to Jalen Carter. I don't know if we're going to go that far. Yeah. It's like Bo Walker and Ashton Genty.
Right,
I don't know if we're going to make that comparison just yet.
I was just comparing their physical stature.
Sure.
But that's all we got to go on right now.
Yeah.
Is comparing the physical stature and everything.
Well, it sure did look like Jalen Carter bull rushing our offensive line the other day. Elijah Griffin, man, I mean, he broke through a couple of double teams. And that gets you fired up as a true freshman.
When you do that, that's what Jalen Carter did as a true freshman.
Right.
And like you said, we're not going to put that pressure on the kid. But that's when it's special. That's just when it is God-given that you add that God-given that the good Lord just gave you the right genetics to play defense tackle in the Southeastern Conference. And then you add that with some hard work and some good coaching. You could be then you're a top 10 draft pick.
And you're playing on Philadelphia's defensive line.
And winning Super Bowls. Period. That's the recipe, and I'm glad Elijah Griffin, who was an in-state Georgia kid out of Savannah Christian, said, hey, man, yeah, I mean, I'm going to get paid pretty good money to come to the University of Georgia, but I don't have to just go get even higher payday from somewhere like Texas or whoever else was recruiting them. But I'm going to go get developed by Trey Scott, who has, 5 first-rounders already at his position? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to get good money right here, get trained well, win some football games, get to play in some big moments, and then potentially if, Lady Luck shines down and everything goes as it should be and put in the work, I'll be a top 10 draft pick more than likely. Yep. I mean, that's safe to say right here that he has that ability to, looking at him right now, to be a top 10 draft pick.
No doubt. Also saw Ellis Robinson repping with the ones. A lot of people out there wanted Ellis Robinson to start last year, or at least get in the rotation. But, he was repping with the ones. That's saying something. Yeah. Granted, Dalen Everett was hurt for G-Day. He didn't get any time. But, I do like Ellis Robinson getting some more action.
Yeah. I mean, also Clark, Dante Williams, the first-year cornerback coach from Southern California last year, got some bad rap. Bad rap for me on this show as well. And kind of some of the stuff that I thought I was hearing that was going to happen in the offseason, none of it happened.
Yeah.
None of it happened. Like the complete opposite of all the coach stuff. But we're going to get behind every one of them.
Yeah.
We're going to get behind every one of them now. But he has been promoted to associate head coach, man. And I got to thinking today when that news was, and somebody brought up a good point about it, man. Dalen Everett's progress. He was probably the player on the team who I think progressed the most as the season went on.
Yeah.
The latter part of the season, and really climbed and developed into that cornerback number 1, CB1 position. So I think you're going to have somebody very solid in Dalen Everett. And I mean, and we've talked about this before, how just you see a cornerback have a year where he struggles and he grows kind of in that number 2 cornerback slot, and then all of a sudden he takes the leap and becomes an elite playmaker at cornerback. You think about DeAndre Baker,
Tyson
Campbell, Eric Stokes, man, Kamari Lassiter, Keely Ringo. I mean, these guys just the list goes on, and I think Dalen Everett's going to have a very good year. He should. He's poised to have that year, man, and then it's going to be who's going to step up again. We've said this going into the season. We have a solid guy who's going to be your cornerback number 1, and then you're going to be who's going to be the guy that steps up across from him. We said that year in and year out, and is it going to be Daniel Harris, who he looked pretty good in G-Day, and a guy who had a rough year, but is he poised to have that breakout year next year, or is it going to be Ellis Robinson, a stud 5-star recruit, man, who got a lot of hype, has been in the system now a year, has got some time, Clark, got a year in the weight room, and learned the playbook, and let's see. And I think Dante Williams coming back for year 2, now kind of refocus, not in the moment of in the middle of the season, Let's see how his unit is his cornerback room progresses going into next year. That's going to be exciting to see.
Once again, never played cornerback. I took reps in practice at cornerback. That was a train wreck, but it's one of those positions. It's really hard to play. I can imagine. You got to be quick.
You
got to
have God-given ability.
You got to have some God-given
I don't care.
ability and genetics.
You don't get just all of a sudden decide I'm going to work my tail off to be a Division I cornerback. That comes with some genetics.
Yeah, you got to be blessed. And highly favored, maybe. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, boy. You got to have quick hips, Clark.
Yeah, you got to be able to.
And a head on a swivel.
Head on a swivel. You got to be able to
backpedal. Yeah, and turn them hips, baby. Yeah.
Be physical.
Be physical.
I'm serious though. In this league, though, it's tough,
be.
Man.
I mean, you really. It's hard. I mean, you think we've talked about and they were good, but how these athletes have evolved even since 15 years ago when you had guys like Prince Miller and Vance Cuff, my height out there. Now, far more athletic than me. But you think about the Asher Allens, the one who was a smaller cornerback who dominated, man, at the University of Georgia, and also had a really good run in the league was Tim Jennings, one of my all-time favorite Georgia Bulldogs, man.
I thought you were about to say Shaq Wiggins or somebody.
Oh, not.
I'm just kidding.
We shouldn't
Shaq Wiggins
shouldn't even be mentioned on this podcast.
Yeah, I need to wash my mouth.
No more Josh Harvey Clemens. But you think about those days in the secondary, man, the elite talent that are there now. Compared to it, and the big body corners that are there now. You think about the Keely Ringos, the Kamari Lassiters, man, the Tyson Campbells, the DeAndre Bakers, like we talked. Stokes, that was another smaller cornerback who was a stud and is.
Well, Javon Bullard, I know he wasn't corner, but
right.
I mean, it's crazy. I don't know. It seems like the game is just played so much faster than even like 2020, 2019. It seems like a different ball game. It's amazing how quickly things evolve and how these athletes are just more agile.
Yeah.
So I don't know. All right, let's switch to the other side of the football right quick. Quarterbacks, Gunner and Pug, I think both looked really solid. No doubt about it. I think Gunner, well, I say no doubt. I believe sitting here today, April 28th at 10:57 p.m., Gunner's going to be the guy.
All right.
Most people would agree with me.
This
is not a hot take or anything, but I mean, I think it's because Gunner just knows the playbook. Adam, you've said this. He's pretty much born to be in a Mike Bobo offense.
Yeah. It's like he's
quite literally
Bobo's other son. And it looks like him. and I'm not making fun because I got one myself, but a receding hairline. Like Coach Bobo. I mean, it's.
Wait a second. I have a theory. Yeah. I have a theory.
How do you?
Are receding hairlines magical at the University of Georgia? Think about Brock Bowers. He had a receding hairline.
He did. You got to have
arguably
more. You got to have more.
More than just receding hairline.
No, just more of just one sample to your
that's
conclusion
true.
right there.
Well, it's a working theory.
Working theory, but no.
Look, if Gunner goes on and throws for 3,500 yards a season and has 37 touchdowns, there might be something to the receding hairline.
In the country music world, there's a big theory right now that Zach Top, I love Zach Top.
Yeah.
Just bringing back traditional country music, is Alan Jackson's son. Now in the Georgia football world, maybe my Bobo's son is actually Gunner Stockton and taking reps from Senator Drew Bobo, his brother. I'm just kidding, but no, sure enough, Gunner, he seems like a very just stand-up guy. Obviously, we've talked about this. You've heard about this from other Georgia resources for sure that, he's worked with Gunner Stockton up in Raven County, where his dad retired and coached football, George Bobo did, and George has worked with Gunner as well, I believe, is what I've heard.
George has worked with me, by the way. I just want to say, this is my claim to fame here. George Bobo. Listen to this. All right, just right quick. I'll make this quick. Cochran, Georgia. Most people could not locate that on the map. It is out in the middle of nowhere.
It's middle Georgia.
It is middle Georgia. It is literally middle Georgia. But it's out in the middle of nowhere. And used to be a receiver, quarterback camp back in the day. Adam, I was a quarterback my sophomore year in training. I was all right,
Yeah, that's right.
Went to my first camp down in Cochran, Georgia, and George Bobo was one of the coaches, and he had a drill, and we really focused on footwork and just the release, right? And that was his
quick
drill.
Release. Yeah,
quick release. Yeah,
got to have that go the next.
And he said several times I looked like a chicken with my head cut off my sophomore year. I was just so out of place and I look frazzled and everything. And then he had the audacity. He pulled out a videotape one day, or a camera, and started recording all of us. And he just, when it got to me, and we did some film study on me, I mean, he roasted me.
That's
and
great.
This is, I mean, we're in front of like 20 other quarterbacks, and I'm just getting roasted. So all this to say, the next year, my junior year, I go as a quarterback.
As a receiver.
No. I go as a quarterback.
Back as a quarterback.
Yep. And I go to the drill, and it's George Bobo again. Same guys, just same camp, just different year. This year, though, he said that I was the most improved out of the group.
Good, Clark.
Out of maybe 20 guys.
Good. We talk about that sophomore to junior leap that we want to see out of the middle linebacker room here at the University of Georgia. I mean, how about that?
Now, he might have just been saying that just to make me feel a little bit better about myself. But
good. That's a good story to have on your Georgia football podcast.
Yes.
X amount of years later. So But anyway, like you said, George's quarterback whisperer, Clark. So Mike and George been working with Gunner to come back around to the subject at hand here. That Gunner Stockton, I think, will be the guy because Mike Bobo's the offensive coordinator, and he's known Mike Bobo's playbook since he was 8. Started studying it then when he was 8.
Might have been in the womb.
Might have been. So anyway, yes, Gunner Stockton will be the star at the University of Georgia. I like him. I like his character. I like his leadership. I think that's important, as we have just beat the dead horse that we're glad the last guy is gone. Best wishes to him, whatever. But it's good to start over, man. So, but Ryan Puglisi looked good. I think he actually looks better. Just hear me out on this. Looks better throwing the football.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Or you're just talking about mechanics?
Mechanics.
Sure. I can get behind that.
I don't think even though I think Gunner has and I'm no George Whitfield. A lot of guys named George are just good quarterback guys. George Whitfield, you remember George Whitfield, the old quarterback coach?
Yeah.
I'm no George Whitfield. I mean, I've never played the position of quarterback, but I do have a microphone. I'm talking about it right now. I think that just from the naked eye, the fan, I think that Gunner Stockton throws a great deep ball.
Sure.
I really do.
Okay.
I mean, he had some passes in the Sugar Bowl that were really good deep balls, I think. Mm-hmm. But I think what scares me is kind of little 10-yard out routes to the sideline.
Those are tough throws.
Those are tough throws, and we saw that, in the SEC championship, and I saw it a little bit in G-Day. Just that some of the zip there kind of worries me a little bit with that. And I know, I guess it's more so those are quick release zip when some of these deep balls, yes, you do have to have the arm strength to get it downfield, but more of a touch kind of pass. You get what I'm saying? But I think Puglisi has a little bit more zip on the ball, in my opinion, and just Stockton's release looks a little bit more awkward. But I think Tim Tebow had an awful release, but he was a Heisman Trophy winner and one of the most successful quarterbacks in college football history, as much as I hate to say that. But he was the leader. He had the toughness, man, and I think Gunner Stockton has. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Tim Tebow, but I'm excited to see Gunner Stockton lead this Georgia Bulldog offense, man, because I think of the character, the leadership qualities he has now that he knows that this is his team. Obviously, we saw how the team bought into him at the end of last year, man, and I think he's going to be a guy who's going to make some big plays at Athens. I'm ready to get behind him, but I like what I see out of Puglisi too. So.
Yeah, Pug, and the great thing about Pug too is I think he provides some healthy competition, keeps Gunner grounded.
Good point.
Not that Gunner isn't already grounded. I think he's very level-headed and down to earth, and he understands his position now. But Pug will push him. That's good. We need a number 2, a good solid number 2, and Puglisi's a good choice. So, I look forward though to seeing that battle. I think the battle is kind of listen. Kirby wouldn't say it's won, but I think as fans we know Gunner will inevitably start.
One last thing on that, Clark, if I may. Puglisi had a banged up leg last year, missed spring. Mm-hmm. And then I think one thing that's been a knock on him was not knowing the playbook as well as Gunner. Yeah. And I think he's quickly learning the playbook too. So that's going to be a feather in his hat.
For sure. So, good point.
That only is going to make the University of Georgia stronger.
Absolutely. Best part of the day, though, for G-Day, no injuries. That was great. So
yeah, that's a blessing.
Yes. Give a clap. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. That's good, man. So, I don't know. Defense guy, let me just say, Justin Williams, Chris Cole, middle linebacker room in general is just going to be just,
nasty.
I was excited to see Big Q Johnson out there. He didn't play.
Yeah.
But I think linebacker room's going to be good. Defense just looked good. I feel good about the defense. There's going to be some questions. Who's going to be alongside KJ Bolden in the secondary right there in safety position and the stars guys, Jonell Guaro or Ja'Cory Thomas. Who's it going to be there? But I think I'm excited about the defense, man. And to my overall takeaway is it should be a good year. Very young team, but should be a good year if stuff gets right. Good quarterback play, good offensive line play. I think pieces are there for another good season.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the transfer portal. A lot has happened in and out of the portal.
Portal giveth.
The portal giveth and the portal taketh, Adam.
It does.
We need to trademark that saying or something.
Yep.
Put it on a T-shirt.
And the portal taketh.
I feel like Josh Pate would put that on a T-shirt or something.
I'm sure he has.
Yeah. Probably monetizing it. All right, so 16 total dogs in the portal since the end of the season. I think that number's right.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
Yeah. For a lot of variety of reasons.
Yeah, multitudes of reasons.
Personal reasons.
Did you know that Stetson's brother actually? Stetson's brother. Did you know that he hit the transfer portal?
Did he?
Yes.
Where's he going?
I don't know, but
I did not know.
Maybe it's a JUCO, and then maybe he comes back ready to win a starting job.
Okay, then. Well, good
like his older brother.
Good for brother Bennett.
I can't remember his name. That's terrible of me. Anyway, there's really no real surprises here. Obviously, Nitro Tuggle, he's gone out the door. Chris Peel, and then Branson Robinson, I think, was one that some people didn't see coming, and a lot of others kind of did. They saw the writing on the wall. Let's just start with these three guys, Adam. Okay. Then we'll talk about some guys that we brought in.
Right.
Let's start with Nitro. Once again, no real surprise here. Nitro was suspended indefinitely for driving 1,000,000 miles an hour on the loop in Athens.
1,000,000 miles an hour, yeah.
Just about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, good riddance, I guess. He was flirting with the portal earlier this year anyway.
He was getting in there trying to feel the waters a little bit beforehand, man. And we encouraged him to come back. Yeah. And then we had that debacle. And it's just when that happens, man, it's just time to part ways, both ways. Wish nothing but the best for Nitro, but man, a lot of
it's just disappointing.
Yeah, he looked like one of them big body receivers that passed the eye test last year.
And he started to kind of merge a little bit last year.
But he looked good out there when we lined him. I said, look at old Nitro out there, number 2, looking good.
I do like the number 2.
Yeah. So I mean, I hate it, but yeah.
Yeah, and then Branson Robinson just got buried, man, in the depth chart.
And I look at these portal guys, and I think, as a fan, obviously you wish them all of them the best in life, but just how you view their football careers after leaving Georgia. Do you have a kind of a lukewarm feeling about them, a bitter taste about them, or just a goodbye well wishes towards them? And Branson Robinson is a goodbye well wishes, man.
For sure.
I think old Lady Luck just didn't smile down upon him through the injury bug with old knees, Clark. And one thing about that, man, is I think he really gave his best at, but just couldn't, with the talent in that running back room, getting behind in reps because of injuries, man. But he will always have that story in that championship ring, SEC championship, 2 SEC championship rings, but also scoring a touchdown in the national championship game in a 65-7 just beat down at TCU his freshman year. He will always have that to hang his hat on, and good luck to him wherever he is. Has he announced anywhere yet?
I don't know. Yeah. And then
I remember him scoring after I got almost concussed.
Yeah, after you slipped on the floors of the SoFi Stadium. Holy crap.
Great times.
There's water everywhere. That's a story. Chris Peel, another guy out the door. So
yeah. I mean, just injuries there too as well. I think. I mean,
the good news is the carnage is officially done up to this point. The portal has officially closed. It closed a couple days ago, April 26th.
That's good.
So that's good. And the good news is we picked up some guys, much needed, honestly. Let's start with this name, Josh McCray, Adam.
Yeah.
Running back from Illinois. He had 110 carries, 609 yards, and 10 touchdowns last year with the Fighting Illini. Not a bad addition.
Yeah, man, I'm excited about McCray. I think it was good to go ahead and add another guy in the running back room, a position that you get Nate Frazier coming back his sophomore year. Everything you hear about his work ethic and where his attitude is, man, it should be poised to be a big big time running back in the SEC this year. And but you got to have other guys at the running back position, man, to be able to give Frazier some rest and have some carries. And you look at guys like Chauncey Bowens. I think he had a good G-Day. Clark, guy who's got some reps. Dwight Phillips, he was hurt, but he had some big jet sweeps and some experiences last year, man. So you look into it's not as just sexy of names, right?
Yeah.
That we've had in the past, looking at the depth chart going into the season. I mean,
Right.
But there's some talent there. And then you get Bo Walker as he comes along as a true freshman, should get some time. So I think this was a good ad of a guy who plays some Big Ten football up there in Illinois, a talented Illinois team who has a lot returning and could be a threat this year in college football. But McCray has 10 touchdowns, I believe, Clark. 10 rushing touchdowns last year. And a big back, a guy that I think where Georgia has sometimes struggled, I feel like, in the past to just go ahead and finish and get 7 inside the red zone is a guy I think who could tote the rock inside the red zone and be able to get some tough yards right there, a big body back and punch it in for 6, I believe. And I think that was a majority of his touchdowns last year were some goal line work.
Yeah. I like it.
I like it. I think it's a good pickup.
Yeah, me too. Josh Horton, defensive lineman from Miami, also joins the Dawgs. Could be a good, rotational piece on that defensive front.
Oh, depth piece.
Yeah.
Gotta have it, man. That's what makes a good roster manager like Kirby Paul smart, man. Is not only just going after the big fish.
Yeah.
You got to be able to go in there and get guys who fit your culture, who fit your respective position rooms, Clark, and people who know their role on the team as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Josh Horton's coming in thinking. I think he's got the mentality. Of course, he's going to work his tail off to get in that starting rotation, but I think he knows where he's going to come in and be able to compete. And I think he's going to think it's a blessing to come from Coral Gables, Florida, to Athens, Georgia, and be in a well respected I think the most respected. When you look at a university's position rooms, like the historic just rooms here the past few years that the defensive line room has been in Athens, Georgia. Any D lineman who has the opportunity to come here would probably crawl on their hands and knees, I would think. The majority of them would, who really realizes what talent and how these players have evolved under Trey Scott, man. So I think he recognized that opportunity and is excited to get under it. So, yeah, good luck to Josh.
Yeah. And then the last guy, big pickup here, Elo Medozi. I think I said that right.
Yeah, Elo.
Defensive end, big edge guy, 6'3", 245. He had 34 tackles, 6.5 sacks, and could potentially play early on this team.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's going to be a big culture shock coming from Army up there in
very structured regiment.
Yeah, and coming down here, true edge guy.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the kind of purest edge guys we've had since Nolan Smith. Not going to say he's going to be Nolan Smith, but I think he is going to make a big presence on this outside linebacker room here. And I think Coach Uzo Deribe,
Adam, that was a great attempt, and I think you were pretty darn close there.
Yeah, has a good piece here, and I'm excited to see who he pumps out in this outside linebacker room with guys like Chaz Chambliss moving on, who did some good things. I know people had, but I think Chaz Chambliss did some good things, and it's going to be somebody that's going to have somebody step up to replace in some areas, and I think Medozi is going to be good at that, and going to be a pure edge guy. So I'm excited to see what he does in Athens this year. One guy I hate we missed on.
Who's that?
It's Bo Atkinson.
Bo.
I really wanted
Tell
him,
us
man.
about Bo.
Bo could have replaced Michael Williams, who was the a top 10 draft pick. Was he top?
Michael?
Yeah, he was in the top 10.
He's
wasn't
no 11th.
Excuse. Oh, yeah, right on the fringe there. Couldn't remember. But anyway, Bo Atkinson, man, from North Carolina, goes to Ohio State. White defensive end, went to Ohio State. Guess you can't blame the guy. Another, that's one thing that you have a lot of historic guys that have gone to Ohio State and gone to the league and progressed well there at the defensive end position. So, of course, he was heading up there. But we were in the running with him there for a little bit, but he decided to go to Columbus, Ohio, man. But, I mean, that would have been a guy who could have took Michael's spot in the sense of being able to put his hand in the dirt and kind of play on the outside as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like it. Yeah, so there's that kind of wraps up the Georgia transfer portal talk. And now, Adam, let's just briefly hit on this right quick. It's just kind of funny. It's comical, honestly.
Yep.
Nico Iamaleava
transfers.
Yeah, he transfers to UCLA. A wild turn of events. Basically, if you've been living under a rock, Nico starting quarterback at Tennessee last year, goes to Josh Heupel, says, hey, I want $4 million instead of my $2 million. Pay up.
Yeah.
And Tennessee didn't have it. They just refused, and they stood their ground.
It's good.
And honestly, as much as I hate the University of Tennessee, Adam, you do too.
Yeah.
Baylor, Terrell, if you're listening, you hate them. There's a lot of people.
All God's children hate them.
All God's children who have any sense and love the United States of America.
I like the
hate
Great
Tennessee.
Smoky Mountains.
I do too.
I like Dollywood. I like Pigeon Forge. I like going to the Dixie Stampede, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I do not like University of Tennessee in Knoxville.
Amen. Anyway, they stood their ground, and I gotta be honest, I'm kind of happy for them.
You got to tip your hat to them, man.
And tip your hat. You got to respect that. Josh Heupel, I think I don't necessarily, I don't dislike him. I don't like him, but I don't dislike him either. I'm very, very neutral on
Really?
Josh Heupel. He's been very chill, you know?
There's been more dislikable coaches
Sure.
on the Tennessee T.
Yeah. And
sure,
so my
I
point
feel
is, you know, I can't hate him for this at
Right.
all. I think this is a great
No,
move
yeah,
for them to
definitely.
stand their ground. And it's honestly a good thing for college football as a whole. I think somebody had to be the example that, hey, you can't just be super entitled, not perform that well, and still just keep pushing, try to get more money out of your university, you know?
Yeah, I agree, man. And yeah, I mean, and I was excited to see how it played out for Nico's family. I mean, he took a pay cut,
Yeah.
pretty substantial pay cut, right?
Yeah, I think he's getting paid after taxes about $980,000 in California.
Yeah, I mean, you can't count out them California taxes, man. And then there's a little bit of a difference in cost of living in Los Angeles, California than Knoxville, Tennessee.
That's true. Very true.
And like I said, you can't just go down the road and enjoy. You gotta put up with the festivities of Los Angeles instead of going down the road and going to Pigeon Forge too.
Go
So
to the
you lose,
Pancake House.
you lose the value of entertainment that you gain living close to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, having to go to Los Angeles, California.
Now you can't play putt-putt anymore. You got to go.
Whatever you do in Los Angeles.
Yeah, what do you do in LA? I
But
don't know.
anyway, so yeah, you lose that too. That's something that nobody's talked about. That we're going to talk
double
about
whammy.
here. Yes.
You can't just go to the Dixie Stampede, Adam.
No, there is no
Or the
Dixie
Hatfield
Stampede.
and McCoy's.
There is no dinner shows at what they're ooh.
They're probably.
There's no family friendly dinner shows in Los Angeles, California.
true.
I'm sure.
That's true.
More erotic.
Oh my gosh.
Great
job, Adam.
More erotic in Los Angeles,
Not
but not
erratic,
family,
right?
not erratic, not erratic.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
might
yeah.
be some erratic ones there too. I don't know, but there's family friendly ones that you can get at the friendly confines of the Valley of the Great Smoky Mountains of Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg.
Yeah. You can't just go visit any fudge shop in LA.
No, you can't. And there is no just great like Pigeon River Inn, so you could go find some brochures in the lobby of just some fine roadside attractions that you can go to
Yes.
to plan the day.
Coupon books. Well, Nico's missing out.
Yeah, that's all. That's my
Or
2
is
cents
he?
about it.
Is he though with the University of Tennessee? I mean, whatever. Oh my gosh! Hey, once again, good on Tennessee for standing their ground, and hopefully this sends a message to all the. Let's just call it how it is. All the other entitled brats
And their fathers.
and mainly their fathers.
Mainly their fathers.
How do
Living
we know-
vicariously through their
I
children?
was about to say this might not even be Nico necessarily saying, "Hey, I want more money." It very well could have
Yeah.
been, but
Greed, man. Greed.
yeah.
Downfall of Western civilization.
Okay. All right. Sure. Yeah. Or just any
Civilization.
The
Humankind.
Roman Empire.
Since the day that Eve convinced Adam, or no, Eve ate the apple. No,
Yes.
Eve ate the apple. Since that day, that was greed. We all could have been running around naked in the Garden of Eden, but now here we are because Eve listened to the serpent and ate the apple, man. Greed. Wanted more. Not content with what we have.
Yeah. That'll do it to you. How do we? It's fascinating how off the rails we get, and I love it. That's just what makes Row 60 Row 60, baby. We are not your average bland Georgia football podcast. I'm just.
We won't have the just great information that insiders will have, but we will add a little spice to it.
Little pizzazz.
We'll put a little pizzazz.
Oh, man. All right. Let's move on to the NFL draft. This is kind of.
Boom, boom.
And with the first pick of the 2026 NFL draft, the Atlanta Falcons, because they're probably going to just tank this
They
year.
had a good draft.
I know. I'm saying 26.
Okay.
Who is next year's first round pick? Go. I'll tell you mine.
Who?
Carson Beck.
Shut up.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I don't know.
Oh, man. I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
I'll let you think on it.
I'll think on it.
Tell me after the show.
Yeah, okay.
All right, let's talk about this year's draft, though. It was a fun draft. I mean,
All
if you actually followed it and
Yeah, it's a fun
kept up
draft. A
with
lot
it,
of good storylines.
you're right. Not 14. Sorry, 13 Georgia Bulldogs taken. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Too shy from the school record of 15. Actually, just the record in general, 15.
Ohio State didn't break it.
They did. I was
getting a little
nervous. Yeah, they got 14 this year. The record is at 15 in a 7-round draft. Georgia holds that with that 22 draft. That was awesome. But let's talk about this year. First off the board, Mykel Williams, round 1, goes to San Francisco, the 49ers.
Yeah.
Then we got Jalen Walker, went to the Falcons.
Yeah.
Finally.
First time that the Atlanta Falcons have drafted a Georgia football player in the modern draft in the first round.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and they picked a dang good one. Jalen Walker, love Jalen Walker. Love what he stands for. Love how he represented himself on and off the field from looking on the outside in, man, and I wish him nothing but the best. And he is something that we're not going to just throw out loosely now, especially in this world of the NIL and transfer portal. Jalen Walker's definition of a DGD.
Yep.
My book.
Agreed. Let's talk about Mykel too.
Okay.
I just want to say for the record, this is for McKay Smith out there. For the record, I said that Mykel Williams would be playing on Sundays.
Okay.
Not that
what
that's
a bold
some-
predicament. What a bold statement.
Yeah, not that
prediction.
that's some like
Oh,
crazy take.
you went out there and just
On a limb with that one, didn't I?
never would have known that. Really just blossomed this year to be that. I mean,
Yeah.
never would have known that.
No,
freshman year. That never would have thought about that that afternoon against Oregon.
Yeah, no, I had no
Freshman year,
clue.
nah.
No, I bring that up because it was kind of one of those moments. It was just 2022 when we were at Mississippi State. Mykel Williams made a big play, and I stood up and I exclaimed,
Yeah,
"That kid's going to be playing on Sundays."
that's right.
And all these Mississippi State fans turned around and was just, they were pretty much cussing me out. I don't know why I thought about that, but congratulations,
Yeah,
Mykel.
Get on Mykel, man.
All right, Malachi Starks goes to the Ravens. He was also taken in the first round.
Yeah.
Love Malachi Starks,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
That's also another guy, I think, who has earned his DGD status.
Yeah, absolutely. Good fit right there
Yeah,
in Baltimore.
for sure. He gets to reunite with Todd Monken and Roquan Smith.
Yeah,
Does Roquan play for the Ravens still?
yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
That's right. Okay. Tate Ratledge, second round, goes to the Lions. That's great.
Yeah, it would usually back in the day been a death sentence to go to the Detroit Lions, but now no. I mean, Dan Campbell's got a good organization there, and Tate Ratledge seems like a Dan Campbell type of guy.
He does. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
They talked an awful lot about the mullet when he was getting drafted. And then another offensive lineman taken in the third round, Dylan Fairchild, goes to the Bengals. Good on Dylan Fairchild. I think this is a good pickup for them. Another offensive lineman, Jared Wilson, center, last year, goes round 3 to the Patriots.
3 offensive linemen.
That's awesome.
So 3 of your 5 starting offensive linemen.
Go within the first 3 rounds. Yeah, something to it.
Stacey
It's not that they're not talented.
I mean, there's good just development by Stacey Searles.
I don't know.
I don't know. That is wild. But anyway.
Another guy that caught a lot of
We're
flack.
getting behind them. We're getting behind them now.
That's
sorry.
true.
I regressed. I fell back into
Your old ways.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to do that anymore. That's the last time.
I love it, Adam. Good attitude.
Not until toe meets leather. I'm either eating crow or diving straight back.
That's right. Another guy that caught a lot of flack at the University of Georgia, Arian Smith, was taken round 4, going to the Jets. And I think that name's that's very fitting because he is very quick, like a jet. You see what I did there,
I see
Adam?
what you did there. Yeah,
Was that really cheesy?
No, that was good. That was good.
Nah,
I mean,
that was pretty cheesy.
I thought that was good, Clark, and I'm very proud of Arian Smith, man, getting drafted in the 4th round like that. A DGD,
Yep.
guy who had opportunities to transfer out. Was a part of a lot of big wins at Georgia. Like you said last year, I mean, definitely had some times where had a case of the drops a little bit, but I think NFL GMs and coaches see the potential like Mike Bobo did. I saw when I went to an early practice, he was there working with Arian Smith by himself, one-on-one, because you see the potential that he has, I think, as a route runner and just like you said, just natural, just God-given speed that if the lights come on with being able to catch the ball cleanly, man, I think he could do some stuff. And heck, Clark, he might be a guy that can make a living in the NFL for a few years on special teams.
Yeah. And jet sweeps.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, he's got some world-class speed. So I think
exciting to see how his career plays out.
right. Another guy taken off the board, offense, Trevor Etienne, round 4, going to the Carolina Panthers. Isn't that where Travis plays?
No, he plays in Jacksonville for another cat, the Jaguars.
Interesting. Somebody was saying that. Okay, somebody misinformed me though, and I didn't understand. But they were like, "Oh yeah, he's going to be reunited with Travis."
I think they're playing against each other next year. So.
That makes sense.
I guess Travis Etienne's still with the Jaguars.
I mean, I know as of last year he was. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, good on Trevor, man. He comes to the light side from the dark side.
Yeah.
Down in Gainesville,
Big,
Florida.
memorable game in Austin, Texas. That'll always be my lasting memory.
SEC championship.
SEC championship, man. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. Again, against Texas. Texas killer, overtime game-winning touchdown. So, I wish he would have stayed one more year, but I understand with the lifespan of an NFL running back and a running back in general during their football career, he wanted to go ahead and try a shot at the league. But thankful for 1 year with him, even though he was banged up a little bit and had a little bit of stuff. But I really felt like that he was a guy who every time he was on the field, you could tell always gave it his all. And even though it was his first year in the building, seemed like he was really trying to be a leader out there when I think there was some offensive leadership lacking.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, TID, round 5, went to the Vikings. I'm proud of him. This was a guy that the national media wasn't talking about this guy, but man, he worked hard. He put in his time at Georgia, and man, he gets rewarded with a big contract.
Yeah. I think one thing I remember about him was the difference he made Florida game 2023 when he came off injury. It just looked like there was a different just kind of when he was the past 2 years after losing just some more talented defensive linemen after 22 season. TID seemed like the guy who really just stood out the past 2 years on the interior defensive front when he was in the game.
Yeah, I like it.
When he wasn't banged up.
Mm-hmm. So. Smile Munden, another defensive guy, round 5, goes to none other than the Georgia Eagles.
Awesome.
Good on him, man. I love Smile. Proud of him. Yeah, going to be reunited with one of a gajillion Georgia Bulldogs playing for that Eagles defense.
National champion, man.
Yeah.
Had some moments in 22, you know. Had some moments in 23, banged up a little bit and some times, man. But I appreciative of what Smile did for the University of Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Another defensive guy, Warren Brinson. He was taken round 6, going to the Packers. He got a good reception there with the draft and everything, with it being in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So
gonna be with Devontae White,
that's true,
and Quay Walker.
God, we got so many dogs in the NFL. It's awesome.
When you start pumping out 10 plus, 13 plus draft picks,
I guess that's what happens.
All throughout the league. That's right.
I wonder how many teams don't have a Georgia Bulldog on it. I know there are a couple. There are a few. But probably not many.
Not many.
And this one, Adam, I think, you know what? I'm clapping for this guy. I'm clapping for all of them, but especially this guy. Dan freaking Jackson, baby. Round 7, going to the Lions.
That's awesome.
You talk about gritty and Dan Campbell being gritty. Yeah. This is a gritty guy. You get, Dan Campbell?
Dan Campbell, yeah.
Dan
Jackson is a Dan Campbell type of guy.
Dan and Dan.
So I love it, man. I think it's going to be a good fit. And I think I'm excited to follow him in the preseason and if he makes the roster or not. But I think a guy like Dan Jackson, who's just continues just to prove himself during Georgia's pro day on the field the past few years, man, will give it a good run.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right. He may not necessarily make a roster.
But you could always say he was drafted in the NFL.
That's right. And that's a heck of an accomplishment. And man,
You're dang right.
he's the kind of guy that you talk about special teams.
Yeah,
He very well could be a special
could.
teams kind of guy.
absolutely.
And you know good and well, Dan Jackson and a lot of these guys would give everything just to get on that field and to contribute and to be a team player, just as they were at the University of Georgia.
Yeah, and I think these coaches and NFL GMs, especially looking at the Eagles now and what they've done and what that culture's turned into a championship program there like they were in college, realizes what these kids go through at the University of Georgia and the practices that they go through, the culture that's been ingrained in them at the time that they spend at Georgia. They realize that, man, they're already a step ahead of so many other kids who come from different programs with, practices in Athens. I mean, some of these guys have said they're harder than what NFL practices are. So draft night is one of the biggest recruiting tools to the University of Georgia, I feel like now, year in and year out
Yeah.
these days.
I know. And it's almost like, every interview that one of these Georgia guys gets in, they shout out Georgia. You know, shout out the culture. They shout out Kirby Smart. They shout out their position coach, their team, their culture, right? And you're right. That's a huge selling point for recruiting.
And outside of the guy you're about to name and Trevor Etienne, all these guys were Georgia raised, man.
That's true.
It's not like Ohio State had just a bunch of, I don't know the complete number of guys who were transferred in at some point, but these guys were brought into Athens straight out of high school. 11 to 13 of them, and brought in the Georgia way.
Yeah, and developed, man. And they stuck it out. And a lot of these guys, too, Adam, there's not a whole lot of a lot of these guys are like seniors, too.
Yeah.
I think, or, good
multiple year players that you don't see, but you
Right.
think about Jalen Walker sticking around, Michael Williams, True Jr., Tate Ratledge has been there for a while. He was on the 21 team before he got injured.
Arian Smith.
Fairchild, Wilson. Yeah, Arian Smith. Yeah, absolutely. TID.
Dan Jackson.
Smile Mondon. He was a 3-year guy, wasn't he? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. So, wasn't he?
I don't know. I can't remember. I'm having brain
I
fog.
think he was, wasn't he? Yeah.
He wasn't there in 21?
No, I don't think so. He might have been red shirt or something. I can't
Okay.
remember.
Well, regardless, the point is you come to Georgia, you get developed, you got a pretty good shot at the league if all things go right and you stay healthy and, you put your head down and work, man. We can do it.
That's right.
And then, last guy that was drafted, Dominic Lovett, in round 7. He's going to the Lions as well, so he'll join Tate and Dan there. And, good for Dominic. I don't think he had as big of a year as we thought he would last year, but there's definitely some really good potential. He's a good route runner. I think he has good hands.
There's some
He's
flashes,
speedy.
man. There's
He's
some
speedy.
flashes at Georgia, and some good memories we'll have of some plays he made.
Yep.
The red and black. Wish him nothing but the best.
Yep. And then 4 more guys I want to shout out right quick. Nazir Stackhouse going to the Packers, Ben Yurcik to the Vikings, Chaz Chambliss to the Vikings, and Xavier Truss to the Broncos. These are all free agent deals. So, hey, good for them for finding a way. They'll have to work a little harder to make a roster. Probably extra hard, but the point is, man, they're chasing the dream, and they're giving a shot.
Yeah.
So, all right, I got a couple of fun facts I want to share, and then we're going to get
Clark's
to
fun
Shador
facts.
Sanders.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about that in just a minute. So let's do a little Clark's fun facts. I might miss the jingle here. I'm probably going to forget to edit this in, but anyway, 3 of the last 4 drafts, the Dawgs have had multiple first-round draft picks on defense. That is crazy.
Wow.
So 2 or more in the last 3 of the 4 drafts, just on defense. We're not even talking about offense. That's wild. I got to shout out Brent Rollins for this one. With Dan Jackson drafted to the Lions, that closes the book on UGA's 2021 National Championship team. Of the 37 players that played regular snaps in that national championship game against Alabama, a whopping 31 were drafted. We're talking about 6 guys who didn't get drafted on that.
God, it seems like it was yesterday. But
No.
just how special that was. Talked about it. As long as the good Lord allows me to remember things in my memory clear, I'll never forget that team and that season and that night, what it meant. So thankful that we got to see that and live it, man, and for those guys and that accumulation of talent and that they've been able to go on And a lot of them already just some very good, prosperous NFL careers, and hopefully Dan can join them in that.
Yeah. Kirby has 19 total losses at his time at Georgia. He has 20 total first-round draft picks.
What a
Is that not insane?
heck of a statistic, man.
Yeah.
Heck of a statistic. I love it.
Wow. That's incredible. And, somebody was arguing, well, Nick Saban, he had 48 total first-round draft picks, yada, yada, and he only had, 20-something losses. But the difference is Kirby's coached under half the time that Nick Saban has coached.
Oh, that's exactly right.
I don't know why I think Alabama fans are just that insecure. I mean, really. It's crazy. All right, and then the last thing we're going to talk about here tonight, because it is 11:35.
Is it really?
It is 11:35, Adam. We need to get to bed, man. Shedeur Sanders. That was kind of the hot topic, the storyline, if you will, of the draft. And he didn't get taken in the first round or the second round or the third round or the fourth. He got taken in the fifth round.
I thought he was going to be a top 5 pick from what
according to his daddy.
Yeah.
Now, let's kind of let me hear your thoughts on this. This is just the whole situation because everybody, I think, most everybody expected Shedeur to get drafted within at least the first 2 rounds, right?
Right. Yeah.
What was your take? Like, what was your reaction to seeing him drop and drop and drop?
I enjoyed seeing it. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I think I never kept up with him a lot. I just, what you would see just here and there stuff seemed like he had a certain sense of entitlement about him. I don't think he did anything to deserve his number being retired in Boulder, Colorado. I mean, you got a guy like Cordell Stewart who did what he did in Colorado in the early 90s, and I don't think his number's retired.
Right.
Is it? Like Travis Hunter, yeah, I mean, number 2 overall draft pick and Heisman Trophy winner, sure.
Fine.
Yeah. But Shedeur Sanders, what'd he do to do that, man? I mean,